really, that's worth another clap, because I think it takes a lot of courage. They're all nestled over in there, that box over there, and they're supporting each other, and they're out in the wilderness here. So thank you, choir. It's a song we don't hear. It's really of a bygone day, but I was, since I knew it was going to be sung in this service, I've been thinking about it, and I have this pronounced memory of being in law school and being in a circle of folks after classes and just shooting the breeze, and who knows what we were talking about. I was so young. And there was a woman that spoke up, and she mentioned that song, and she was from that faraway country that I couldn't imagine, called 45. And it's still a faraway country, but now for different reasons. And she said, I want that song, that's the song that I want sung at my memorial service, at my funeral. And I went, wow. Like, really, you're thinking about that? And so, like, how is that tied into what we're talking about? And then I thought, gosh, I mean, once you're dead, like, your time of being the bridge is kaput. I had a very practical side to me always. Not always very sensitive, but practical. and I was in law school, yes. But since then, I've gotten a lot older and a little wiser. And I was thinking about, this is why David Brooks talks about the difference between resume virtues and eulogy virtues. We hope that when it comes our time to die, we hope that songs can be sung, words can be spoken that spoke to how we lived. And we tried to live it differently. It wasn't about our accomplishments, it wasn't about the things on our resume, but it was the way we lived in the world. It has a lot to do with interdependence, one of our Unitarian Universalist values, which reminds us that we're not for ourselves alone. We did not create ourselves. That means, of course, that we recognize our human need for other humans. And it underscores that piece also that so many of us hold so dear, held as central to our identity as Unitarian Universalists, our deep understanding that we as humans are only a part of an interdependent web of existence. We're not the whole web itself. That this planet supports myriad life forms, and we are all connected to one another. So if we need one another and we are all a part of this grand stream called life, if we recognize that we are in need of each other, then we are called upon to name the word interdependence and to learn that the practice of that is choosing connection. Now let's be clear again. We've spoken often these last months in these fraught times of why so many of our nerve endings are jangling. They're raw and they want us to do anything but connect. They are screaming at us to protect ourselves, to take flight or to freeze, to get small, to avoid others, to find a safe space. After all, for those with privilege, that is what we get to do. It is, in fact, what we have been trained to do in this culture. And yet, I suspect that there's something that niggles at us, that we can't rest when some of us are treated as expendable, as if the list of expendables won't grow and ultimately include all of us. Yet, how do we arrest that? How do we stop indulging that old pattern? I ask because a handful of years ago now in this church, we were invited into conversation with one another in small groups and pairs. We were asked to name a time when we experienced the holy, when we felt part of something bigger than our workaday world, when we felt connected to something that magnified the goodness of life itself. The time that many of us named, it turned out, was when we felt connected, deeply connected to other people and or the planet. These were memories. These were memories of stories so cherished, so important and shape-shifting that we shared them even when we were paired with someone we didn't know. Our stories of where and what we have found sacred are peppered with interdependence. The experience of being a part of, not apart from, each other and this living, breathing planet. It's so important to us. It's core to our sense of what it means to be human and living a life of purpose and meaning. Now, it has many different faces, right? And in a few weeks, I'm going to talk about choosing to connect anew with our planet. And this week, I'm going to talk about choosing to connect with people and how and what might get in our way. Next week, we are going to be celebrating our connections to people who have died. As is our annual tradition, we will sing the names that you have submitted to us of those beloveds who have died this year. This is sacred to us, to sing the name we remember. Yet we know that it's not just the losses of this past year that are on our hearts. And so this year we're kind of tweaking what we've done. And we'll have a table of candles for those who have died this past year, but we're also going to have a second table. A table in which we're going to invite you to bring a photo or a memento of a person you are grieving. And don't worry if you forget, because it won't seem like an extra hour next week. If you forget, a tangible item, we will have small pieces of paper for you to write the name and place a stone on our table. It will be a tender Sunday next week. But we want to hold space for all of those who remain on our hearts. Okay, so that's a couple of weeks and 1 week out. So let's get back to today. Interdependence, this practice of choosing to connect with people. I know you know the story that Laura shared with us of stone soup, and it might have been a different version that you've heard. It comes out of the indigenous traditions in Arizona. Undoubtedly, you heard a different version, but the gist of it is clear. A stranger shows up in a small village. The stranger is hungry. So are the villagers, but there seems to be nothing to eat. Everyone has so little. All are starving and weary of everything and everyone all of the time. So the stranger, hearing that, asks for a big pot filled with water so they can make stone soup for everyone. Imagine the response. How are you going to make soup? You came in telling us you're hungry. You are asking for food. How are you going to make soup? And what is stone soup, after all? It sounds not good. And with that, the stranger plops a large stone in the provided pot filled with water. They gather a firewood, they build a fire, and they get the pot on the fire, and the stranger stirs it with delight and anticipation. And after tasting it, the stranger calls out, "Wow, this is good, but I wonder if it's missing anything to anybody. I wonder if anybody else likes anything else in their soup. I mean, I like stone soup myself, but maybe y'all have a different tradition." And eventually, a villager produces a hidden stash of a few carrots. And the stranger puts those in the pot and tastes again, and again wonders aloud, is there anything else that anybody else would find would make it even more delicious than stones and carrots, which is fantastic, by the way. But is there anything else? And Soon enough, another villager returns with an onion and a bit of garlic, and over again, the stranger declares the soup good and expresses curiosity about whether it could be better. And over again, the villagers bring out what seem like meager offerings on their own. And then all of a sudden, together, they have created this enormous, nourishing soup that feeds them all, starting with just a stone. The recipe, of course, for delicious soup isn't a list of ingredients. It is an invitation to imagine and lean into our need for one another, that we nourish each other or starve, withholding. And I wonder how that lands with you today. Is it kind of a sweet story but super naive? Does it strike you, this last version of the same as the story as Laura shared? Or once the coyote started making soup with other friends from the wild, did you just check out? Because the difference in the stories is interesting to me. The children's version starts out with Coyote feeling lonely and wondering, if you will, hoping that he just might see his friends. Because we know that sometimes choosing to connect is rooted in loneliness. Because we know sometimes choosing to connect is rooted in need. And so, kids' stories that are often told with animals, it's told that way. And we want them to get it that way, right? We want them to have their feels, and we want them to live their lives like this coyote, open to everyone, happy to see them, ready to help. But the more commonly told versions of the story are about a stranger. Sometimes it's even told with a couple of soldiers coming in and actually being forthright about their hunger and need. I'm hungry. Will you give me something to eat? And unlike the response Coyote got from Rabbit and Prairie Dog and ultimately the ocelot, it seems no one was happy to see the stranger. No one saw the stranger and acknowledged their own loneliness. Rather than meeting the stranger from their longing, they met him from their lack, their sense of scarcity. I can't give you anything. I don't have enough. You're hungry. I'm hungry. I can't provide for my family. And it's real. And it's hard. And in this weekend, when SNAP benefits hang in the balance in this political game of chicken, hunger is real. The possibility of irreparable harm is palpable. And yet, and still, a part of why this story endures across generations and geographies is that it points at some very real things also. Sometimes choosing to connect requires confronting one's fear. One's fear of another, one's fear of not enough. And sometimes choosing to connect looks like confronting one's own inadequacies. I don't have enough. We know that, right? Don't we know that? And we recognize the turn in the story. When the stranger says, let's try it a different way. Hey, we're all hungry. Let's do it differently. Let's make something together. Stone soup. Now, who's got a pot? The stranger says that in this place where the villagers have let their lives shrink and have become defined by scarcity and all that they don't have. Here comes a stranger so full of life and ideas and energy, and they found themselves pulled. They found themselves watching and responding because sometimes choosing to connect looks like opening to possibilities you can't see. And then, And then the stranger wonders aloud, "This is terrific, but is there anything else to put in this soup?" The stranger is inclusive and wants everyone to eat from the soup. "What did I miss?" asked the stranger. And suddenly an onion comes forward and a bit of garlic, then there's a carrot and some beans, then an herb and some salt. The villagers don't know how it will turn out, but they bring a little something, something because sometimes choosing to connect looks like giving not out of your surplus, but out of your lack, out of your need. And when all of the things have been brought and the people are gathered round, there actually is a beautiful, nourishing soup that they have co-created. And the stone is pulled out like the bay leaf it never was. See, stone soup is a great reminder. I think the reason the story endures is it's a great reminder that a little ingenuity, a little creativity, a little cooperation can go a long way towards making scarcity into plenty. But I don't want to end there because I don't actually think that's what the story is about. Stone soup isn't actually about addressing a problem of scarcity. The people in the story have some resources. They just don't want to use them. So it's actually a problem of not leaning into each other. It's a problem of lacking collective action. So when the stranger shows some creativity, the village is able to respond with enthusiasm and generosity that they failed to muster before. And the resulting collaboration produces a nourishing meal and potentially the beginnings of a community. Now for me, that story has a lot of relevance to right now. And I believe deeply still that our world can be changed by connecting, by generous action, by a new idea, by leaning into each other and creating new possibilities, by refusing to accept that the most we can possibly hope for is providing for me and mine. I believe that deeply because sometimes choosing to connect looks like saying the system, the way it is, doesn't work. It does not work because it does not work for everyone. This is important just now. It is important for people who have put love at the center of their faith, who use it to empower their other values like interdependence. Why? Why is it important? Because if you look at the core attacks, and there's the flooding of the zone, blah, 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 there's many attacks. But if you look at the core ones, the anti-critical race theory attacks, the anti-trans attacks, the anti-LGBTQ attacks, the attacks on immigrants, the attacks on black and brown bodies, it is easy to sense in that the scarcity mentality. A scarcity and a hunger that can only be fed by isolating, by homogenizing, by demonizing, by protecting and guarding me and mine, and a way of life that never was. We can, of course, buy into that. That platter is available on every corner. We can eat freely from those trays. Or we can, of course, say that's wrong and try to address the symptoms and argue underneath it that. But the problem isn't scarcity. The problem is that we need to lean into each other and hold fast to our covenant and commitment that there is room. There has always been room for everyone in our society, and that our goal, our shared goal, is to foster a healthy, multiracial democracy, one in which schools are safe and welcoming to everyone, a training ground for a multiracial democracy, where difference is not deficiency, where food and healthcare are not political footballs, but are actually seen as the sacred means by which we care for one another. Like a bridge over troubled water. collectively, connectedly, we will make it through. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love to hear things. And I'm astounded still a little bit that there's commercials even on those. But I was arrested by one this week. AT&T. Wouldn't be the one I'd choose that I'd be caught up in. 3 words. Connecting changes everything. Connecting changes everything. We know it. We feel it. We can believe in the scarcity and the meanness of this day, or we can invest in our need for one another, and we can practice connecting, because connecting changes everything. So may this be the day. May this be the day that we challenge ourselves anew to lean into each other and practice connecting more than we live into a story that doesn't include all of us. May it be so. Amen.
Well, it is my favorite week of the month because it's New Hymn Week. As we have been for, I guess we're on month about 4 now, we're learning a new hymn from the UUA's virtual hymnal every month. In addition to being on the team that has helped choose all of the music for this new hymnal, we just hit 350 new hymns that we've added. Think that we've got the gray book and the teal book. That's pretty much all we've had for a while now, and we now have over 300 new songs that are a part of our denomination. This is another one that I am bringing to you that speaks so much to the message of this month, that we will carry each other. So please rise in body or spirit. And I add one more reminder that if you need a slightly closer look than you're able to get from this, there are white packets on that bookshelf in the back that have all of the new hymns for this entire 6-month. Thank you, Vanna. That have all of the new hymns we're learning in this stretch. So you are always welcome to grab one of those. I am looking for shelter in a friend. We can build a beginning, but I do not know the end. I am scared of breaking when I bend. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. There are prayers I don't know how to say, but I still find solace when I close my eyes to pray. What I've lost and what I hope can stay. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. I am full and I am running out. I'm a flooding river and I'm living through the drought. I have firm conviction and my heart is full of doubt. We will carry each other on the way. yet. There is something special and I haven't found it yet. There's abundance given freely, taken with no debt. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. One last time. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way.
Beloveds, before I invite Baker to extinguish our chalice, I'm going to take us back to a small good part of COVID, which was so dreadful. Trust me, sequestering Betsy in the back of our house so that I can preach in our kitchen to a very attentive refrigerator was miserable. But at the end of every service, we took in the message and the flame. And we did this. All of the worship leaders appeared in our little squares, and I invited us, whoever was leading, invited us to take in the flame and all the love, all the things, the bounty that was spoken and sung, and pull it in before sending it out to you. And so I invite you to take that flame and to take this music and all of it in, pull it into you, literally pull it into you. This is balm. We need 12 hugs. One of them can be your own. Pull it in. And now send it on. Because there is a bounty. We are each other's strength. The journey is long, and it's getting longer. But we carry each other. So practice this day, the smallest thing. Laura invited you. Maybe you come tonight. Maybe you call somebody you haven't called. Maybe you speak to somebody in the store today. Some little thing. Choose to connect because we need each other. So go. Be a blessing. Amen. I love you.